And hello everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that, you can admit it, at first seems boring, but I promise you, it's a fascinating journey. The Ten Commandments. Yes, those writings on stone tablets, you know, but don't worry, it's not a catechism class. This is much deeper and more historical than you imagine. Forget that image of an angry God dictating rules. We're going to uncover the story behind these commandments together. Understand the context of that time and, most importantly, how they still make sense in today's world, even if you're not religious. I swear you're going to be surprised. Get your coffee, cranberry juice, popcorn, whatever you like, because this journey is going to be long and eye-opening. You shall have no other gods before me. Sounds simple, right? But back then, things were pretty different. Imagine this. You're in the desert, surrounded by cultures that worshipped many gods, with people bowing down to statues, animals, the sun, the moon. It was a real mess. This first commandment was like slamming a fist on the table, a clear statement of being exclusive. It was like God saying, "Hey everyone, I'm the one in charge here. No splitting your attention, okay?" And it wasn't just because of jealousy, mind you. It was about having a clear direction, a sense of unity, at a time when people were more lost than a cat in a strange attic. And let's be honest, in today's world, with so many people chasing likes, fame, and money, isn't that search for one single ideal something we still need? You shall not make for yourself a carved image. Now, this is where things get interesting. Imagine this. You've spent years as a slave in Egypt, surrounded by statues and pharaohs who thought they were gods. And then, all of a sudden, God shows up and says, "No images, no idols." That was a huge change. God was showing that he was special, that he couldn't be shown by something you could touch. He wanted to be found through faith, through what you felt, not in a piece of rock. And today, don't we fall into the same trap? We put politicians, artists, and influencers on a pedestal, as if they were gods. Don't we forget that, deep down, they're all just people, full of mistakes just like us? You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. This one has always caused a stir. But hold on, it's not just about saying, "Oh my God," when you spill your coffee. It's actually a lot deeper than that. Back then, a person's name was sacred. It showed their soul, their story. Using God's name in vain was like disrespecting his power, his importance. It was like promising something in his name without really meaning to keep it. And today, do we use God's name or other holy things to make excuses for our actions, even the wrong ones? Do we make light of what's important, what should be taken seriously? Chapter 4. Fourth Commandment. A day to recharge. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. In the middle of a whirlwind of work, rushing, and duties, God commands, "Wait, people. One day of the week is sacred. It's for resting, for connecting with me and with family." Imagine the revolution this caused. In a world where work meant survival, having a day just for rest was almost like going against the rules, but it was necessary. It was a time to pause and remember that life isn't just about working. And between us, in today's fast-paced world, with notifications popping up every second, don't we need this reminder more than ever? A day to turn off your phone, take a deep breath, and enjoy some free time? Chapter 5. Fifth Commandment. Honor your parents? But what if honor your father and your mother? This is a classic. Everyone knows it. But how do we apply this today? Family is a complex topic, right? The relationship with parents isn't always easy, perfect, or harmonious. But don't worry. The commandment doesn't talk about blind worship, about agreeing with everything. Honoring your parents is recognizing their importance in your life, the history you built together. It's about having respect, even when you disagree. And look, We know not everyone was lucky enough to have present or loving parents. But this commandment invites us to honor our roots, the story that brought us here, even if it's complicated and tough. Chapter 6. Sixth Commandment. The Value of Life. A super complex issue. You shall not murder. This one is pretty clear and to the point, without much room for tricky interpretations. Human life is sacred, period. But behind this short sentence, there's a whole ocean of things to think about. To kill is to take someone's life, right? But what about emotional abuse, bullying, words that hurt and destroy? Aren't those ways of slowly killing someone's spirit? And in today's world, with so many wars, conflicts, and unfairness, how can we truly value life in all its forms? It's an important and much-needed discussion, one that calls for understanding, kindness, and action. You shall not commit adultery. This one always causes a stir, right? After all, what even is adultery these days? Open relationships, polyamory. Things have changed so much, but the real point of the commandment isn't to control desire, but to have respect, honesty, and loyalty within a relationship, no matter what kind it is. In a time of dating apps and relationships that are more and more fluid, what does it mean to be faithful? It's an open discussion that needs talking, honesty, and most of all, respect for each person and for the agreements you've made. Eighth commandment, hands of scissors? No way! You shall not steal. Sounds simple, right? But what does stealing mean to you? Taking something that isn't yours without permission is wrong, that's a fact. But what about corruption, tax evasion, exploiting other people's work? Aren't those forms of stealing, of unfairly benefiting from someone else? The eighth commandment makes us think about what's right, about fairness in society, and about building a world where everyone is treated equally, where no one needs to steal to survive. After all, as the poet would say, someone who steals a piece of bread to feed their child might not go to heaven, but they certainly go to the heart of the people. Ninth commandment. Fake news. Not here. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. Lying, gossiping, slandering. Who hasn't done it at some point? But in the age of the internet, where misinformation runs wild, this commandment has never been more important. Spreading fake news, twisting information, and ruining someone's reputation with lies are extremely harmful actions. We need to be responsible with what we share, check our sources, and not be part of spreading lies. The truth might be uncomfortable, but it sets you free. And in a world that's becoming more and more divided, honest talks based on facts are super important to build a fairer and more balanced future. 10th commandment. Coveting? Control yourself, young person. You shall not covet. This last commandment seems simple, but it touches one of our most basic instincts. Desire. It's normal to want things, to want to improve your life. The problem is when coveting takes over and becomes an obsession. Coveting what someone else has, the neighbor's greener grass, the latest car, the perfect relationship. The list goes on, and this uncontrolled craving only brings frustration, envy, and unhappiness. The 10th commandment asks us to look inside ourselves, to be thankful for what we have, and to find happiness in the simple things in life. After all, true wealth is found in the things money can't buy. What's up, everyone? Did you see how the 10 Commandments are much more than just old rules written on stone tablets? They're an invitation to think about what it means to be human, about how to build a world that's fairer, more ethical, and most importantly, more human. Of course, we can disagree with some points, question others, and that's totally fine. The important thing is to think critically, use your head, and understand that these commandments, no matter your religion, can be a guide for a more meaningful life. And for you, which of the 10 Commandments made the biggest impact? Tell us in the comments.